They say the best teams find a way to win, even when they're not playing well. And that's exactly what Celtic did at Rugby Park. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't fluid, and it certainly wasn't the kind of football that gets replayed on highlight reels. But in the final breath of the match, up stepped Kelechi Iheanacho, a player with everything to prove, to bury a high-pressure penalty and send Celtic fans into ecstasy. This was more than just 3 points. It felt like a turning point, a jolt of belief in a team that's been surrounded by uncertainty and frustration. Let's not sugarcoat it. The first half was dire. Flat, uninspired, disjointed, take your pick. For large stretches of that opening 45 minutes, Celtic looked like a team searching for identity, let alone chances on goal. But then came the spark. Not from one of the usual names, not from the tried-and-tested core, but from a debutant, Sebastian Teddy. In a game crying out for invention, the young winger was electric. Confident on the ball, direct with his running, and constantly willing to take on his man, he gave Celtic something they've been sorely lacking: genuine threat out wide. There's a rawness to Teddy, sure. The end product is still inconsistent, and some of his final balls left much to be desired. But the intent? That was undeniable. This is a player who wants to make things happen, and on a dreadful surface against a physical Kilmarnock side, he showed that he's not afraid of the spotlight. Brendan Rodgers himself acknowledged after the match that if Teddy had been available earlier in the season, things might have looked very different. A clear nod to the struggles Celtic faced in Europe and domestically without that creative spark. On the opposite flank, however, the picture was less promising. Balagisha, still adapting to life in Glasgow, looked lost. Played out of position once again, he struggled to impose himself, rarely took on his man, and lacked the kind of confidence that Teddy oozed. It's far too early to write him off. Plenty of players have taken time to settle, but right now, he's clearly not clicking. There were moments of hesitation, unsure touches, and a lack of cohesion with those around him. The contrast between the two new wingers was stark, and while one is already earning plaudits, the other has work to do. Much of the frustration around Celtic in recent weeks hasn't just been about the performances, it's been about the bigger picture. The lack of signings during the window, the boardroom unrest, the growing sense among fans that this squad is running on fumes. That frustration boiled over into a fan protest at the match, with a significant portion of the away support choosing to delay their entrance by 12 minutes. It was a visual statement, and while not universal, it captured the feeling that things need to change. Some fans chose not to protest, and that's their right too. But the message was clear: the discontent is real, and it's growing. Yet, even amid all the noise, the team found a way. That, in itself, is something to cling to. You look at the midfield trio, McGregor, Negrin, and Hatate, and it's hard to escape the sense that it's just not working. McGregor, ever reliable, looks leggy. Hatate has moments of magic, but drifts in and out of games. Negrin is clearly talented, but isn't yet dictating play or adding enough cutting edge. There's a balance missing. Too slow, too predictable, too safe in possession. When the midfield isn't ticking, the whole system stutters. Celtic aren't dominating games like they used to, and it starts from the middle. And then there's the fullback situation. Sirachi, on the left, was heavily involved. Some fans thought he was brilliant, others thought he was a liability. The truth is probably somewhere in between. He got forward well, delivered a great cross for Maeda's goal, but was wasteful at times and looked shaky in possession. On the right, young Donovan made his first real appearance for the club and didn't look out of place. He's raw, yes, but there's something there. An energy, a fearlessness, a willingness to get forward and support the attack. Celtic have been crying out for more contributions from the fullbacks, and maybe Donovan could grow into that role over time. But back to Iheanacho. After everything, the criticism, the slow start, the doubts, he stepped up when it mattered most. Taking the ball off the captain, in stoppage time, away from home, under pressure, with the weight of the support on his shoulders, and he buried it. It takes guts to even want that moment, let alone to convert it. If he had missed, the fallout would have been brutal. But he didn't. He showed composure, confidence, and class, and in doing so, may have just written the first chapter of a Celtic redemption story. There's something romantic about players turning things around. Celtic fans have seen it before, the slow starters who eventually become fan favorites. It's too early to say whether Iheanacho will follow that path, but this was a massive step. And in a team where no striker has fully nailed down the number 9 role, this might be the opening he needs. Rodgers clearly believes in him. He's mentioned the quality, the experience, the pedigree. Now it's about consistency and more moments like this. The overall performance wasn't good. Let's be clear about that. Celtic were lucky not to fall behind at times, and they looked vulnerable defensively throughout. The midfield was sluggish, the tempo was off, and the chances were few and far between. But football doesn't always reward the prettiest team. Sometimes it rewards the ones who hang in there, who find a way, who step up when the lights are brightest. That's what happened here. In a venue that's traditionally tricky, with tension in the air and pressure mounting, Celtic found their way over the line. Now comes the real test. Can this be the launchpad for something more? Can this scrappy, last-minute win become the catalyst for a run of form that stabilizes the team and gets the fans back on side? There's still so much to address, tactically, structurally, emotionally. The squad lacks depth, the midfield needs reshaping, and several new signings are still bedding in. But the fixtures ahead provide an opportunity. With Thistle in the Cup, a trip to Belgrade in Europe, and then a run of home games, Celtic have a chance to find rhythm, if they can seize it. The support is restless, but still passionate. That's the beauty and the burden of this club. Every goal, every pass, every result is magnified. When the team struggles, the frustration is loud. But when they win, especially in the fashion they did at Rugby Park, the joy is unmatched. That penalty, that release, that roar from the away end, it reminded everyone why we care. Amid the protests, the off-pitch drama, and the tactical headaches, there are still moments of magic. And for now, that's something to build on. While the victory at Rugby Park was a relief, it's impossible to ignore the underlying issues still lingering around this Celtic squad. Yes, the 3 points were massive. Yes, Kelechi's penalty gave the fans something to finally celebrate. But take a step back and the warning signs remain, and they're not exactly subtle. This team isn't functioning at the level it should be. From midfield to fullbacks to overall tempo, it's all just off. It feels like a side still being pieced together in mid-flight, and you wonder how much longer they can keep grinding out wins like this. Without a serious improvement in performance, one of the biggest talking points has to be the midfield. Callum McGregor is still being asked to do everything: orchestrate, anchor, cover ground, and lead. And you can see the toll it's taking. He's looked exhausted late in games, and when the captain starts giving the ball away in sloppy situations, you know something's not right. Rio Hatate, for his part, has been far from his best. Moments of magic are still in his locker, but they're becoming rare. He drifts in and out of games, and when the team is crying out for someone to grab the match by the scruff, he's often on the periphery. And then there's Negrin, brought in with big hopes, expected to be that link between midfield and attack, but so far, it's not happening. He's tidy in possession, gets into good areas, but where's the spark? Where's the killer ball? Where's the intent to turn a game? The reality is Celtic don't have a functioning midfield right now. Not one that dictates games the way we've seen in years gone by. It's all very safe, very static. Too many sideways passes, too little urgency. And when the midfield lacks tempo, it filters through the rest of the side. The wingers aren't getting enough service. The striker is isolated. The fullbacks are exposed. It becomes a domino effect, and that's what we're seeing week after week. And yet, Rodgers seems to be persisting with this trio. You wonder how much longer that can last. There are other options. Paulo Bernardo is still in the squad, though clearly out of favor. Ari Engels hasn't had many minutes, but brings something different: legs, drive, a bit of bite. And then there's young Luke Maker, who came on late and showed that burst of energy Celtic so desperately needed. None of them are guaranteed solutions, but the current trio clearly isn't working, and the longer Rodgers waits to shake it up, the more games will drift by with performances like we saw in that first half. The fullback positions also remain a concern. Sirachi, as mentioned before, was a curious one. He got heavily involved, delivered a vital assist, and always made himself available. But his passing was erratic and his defensive positioning questionable. He doesn't yet look like the long-term solution. And on the right, young Kobe Donovan deserves credit for stepping in on short notice and holding his own. There were raw moments, loose touches, naive defending, but also flashes of real potential. He wasn't hiding. He overlapped, showed for the ball, and even helped win the penalty that decided the game. It's early days, but there might be a player there with the right development. The most frustrating thing for fans right now, though, is the sense that this squad still feels incomplete. The summer transfer window promised change, and yes, bodies came in. But has the overall quality improved? Are the starting 11 stronger than last season? On the evidence so far, it's hard to say yes. Injuries have played a part. Players like Alistair Johnston and Greg Taylor, for all the criticism they've received, offered stability and structure. Without them, the back line feels patched together. And going forward, too many of the new signings are still adapting. Teddy looks a gem, but he's raw. Balajisha is clearly lacking confidence. Kelechi has one big moment, but what next? It's not just about individuals, though. It's about identity. What is this Celtic side trying to be under Brendan Rodgers this time around? It's not the high-intensity, all-action football we saw under Postecoglou. Nor is it the methodical, possession-heavy game Rodgers played in his first spell. Right now, it feels like a bit of both, and not enough of either. There's no clear plan, no rhythm, no real sense of purpose. That's what's making these games such hard watches. The talent is there in flashes, but the cohesion is missing. And until that changes, it's going to be a grind. Yet amid all this, moments like Saturday still matter. When that ball hit the net, when Kelechi turned to the fans with his arms outstretched, it was a moment. A genuine Celtic moment. Not perfect, not polished, but raw, emotional, and real. It reminded everyone what this club is about. And for a player like Kelechi, who's come in with baggage, with doubts, it could be transformational. You could see it in his celebration, the disbelief, the relief, the joy. Footballers feed off that. A crowd that embraces you, even briefly, can change your confidence overnight. And you could say the same about the support. The 12-minute protest, the banners, the empty seats. All of that came from a place of love. Celtic fans care deeply, and when they feel ignored or disrespected, they'll let it be known. But the scenes at the end showed that this is still a unified support when it matters. There were no divisions in the away end when that goal went in. Just limbs, passion, and noise. That's the power of a club like Celtic. And if the board are watching, really watching, they'd be foolish to dismiss it. The fans want better. They're not going to stop demanding more just because of one last-minute win. But at least now, there's something to hold on to. Something to build on. The next run of games presents an opportunity. A cup match against Thistle that should be routine. A big European trip to Belgrade, where the pressure is low but the test is high. And then 3 consecutive games at Celtic Park. A chance to find some rhythm, to give the fans something to believe in again. Rodgers knows the pressure he's under. He said himself that now, with the window closed, the team can settle. But that means results have to follow. No more excuses. No more we're still building. This team needs to start performing, not just for halves, not just in moments, but across 90 minutes. And more importantly, they need to find their style. Because right now, Celtic are drifting. Still top of the league, still ahead of their rivals, but drifting nonetheless. It's telling that the best moment of the match came from a penalty, not open play. That's not sustainable. You can't win a title on penalties and moments of individual magic. You need systems. You need structure. You need a plan. And right now, that plan still feels half-baked. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Rumors have been swirling all day, but sources close to the game suggest that Andrew Robertson, the pride of Scotland and Liverpool's tireless left-back, might be set for a sensational move north of the border. Whispers from inside the corridors of Celtic Park hint that the boys have been quietly working behind the scenes to secure one of Scotland's brightest exports, and it seems the deal could be done. Fans are in absolute meltdown at the mere suggestion. Robertson, known for his relentless energy, pinpoint crosses, and leadership both on and off the pitch, would be a seismic signing for Celtic, who have dominated the Premiership in recent years but are always on the lookout for marquee players to push them further in Europe. Imagine the roar of Celtic Park, the banners waving, as one of Scotland's finest dons the famous green and white hoops. It's the sort of tale that keeps the nation buzzing long after kickoff. Of course, nothing is confirmed yet. Liverpool are unlikely to part easily with their captain, and whispers of financial wranglings, tricky contract clauses, and the lure of European football complicate matters. Yet, the Celtic board are reportedly pulling out all stops, and insiders claim the deal has momentum, with a possible announcement teased for the coming weeks. Social media is alight with speculation, fans debating every possible scenario, from Robertson playing alongside the likes of Hoda and Lille Abada, to him captaining a new era of boys aiming to make waves in the Champions League. Some skeptics argue it's just a pipe dream, a classic transfer window murmur, but in Scotland, hope and hype go hand in hand. If true, Robertson returning home could be the story of the decade, a proud moment for Scottish football, and a statement that the Premiership can still lure world-class talent. For now, the nation waits, eyes glued to the headlines, hearts pounding with anticipation. Celtic supporters are already imagining the impossible. Andrew Robertson, in green and white, leading the charge on the Parkhead turf. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.